going for the double header tonight. So the first reading is from John 9, verses 1 to 3. As he walked along, he saw a man blind from birth. His disciples asked him, "Rabbi, who sinned, this man or his parents, that he was born blind?" Jesus answered, "Neither this man nor his parents sinned. He was born blind so that God's work might be revealed in him."
And the second reading is from Matthew chapter 5, verses 1 to 12. When Jesus saw the crowds, he went up the mountain, and after he sat down, his disciples came to him. Then he began to speak and taught them, saying, "Blessed are the poor in spirit, for theirs is the kingdom of heaven. Blessed are those who mourn, for they will be comforted. Blessed are the meek, for they will inherit the earth. Blessed are those who hunger and thirst for righteousness, for they will be filled. Blessed are the merciful, for they will receive mercy. Blessed are the pure in heart, for they will see God. Blessed are the peacemakers, for they will be persecuted for righteousness' sake, for theirs is the kingdom of heaven. Blessed are you when people revile you and persecute you and utter all kinds of evil against you falsely on my account. Rejoice and be glad, for your reward is great in heaven, for in the same way they persecuted the prophets who were before you."
Hi, my name's Christine. Hang on, that's what it says here. To those who don't know us at MCC, my name's actually Margaret.
Hi, Margaret.
And I am Christine's mouthpiece tonight. And we're looking at what it means to be human from this perspective of disability. So, when I say I'm talking as if I am Christine. So she says, "Hi, I'm Christine." By the way, hi, she's watching us tonight. I've been coming to MCC for several years now. Let me say that I am a pretty ordinary person, an ordinary everyday person who has come to see myself from the position of my values, my choices, relationships with others, and my relationship with the rest of nature. The qualities that make us human in particular is the ability to love, to have compassion and embrace spirituality, non-violence and gratitude. This also includes those of us who have experienced marginalisation and inequality. To me, what makes us human is not the fact of our basic vulnerabilities, which we share with other living creatures, but with the awareness of our vulnerabilities and how we embrace it. Do you get that? Do you want to read that again? I think this is pretty profound. The fact of our basic vulnerabilities, which we share with other living creatures, but with the awareness of our vulnerability and how we embrace it. The book that Steve Biddle wrote, Fully Human, which is the subject of the series that we're in the middle of at the moment, brings decades of working in the field of trauma, with parents and children, being a husband and a father, all together under the unique model he calls the 4-story mansions. The body, our emotions, the brain and spirituality are the 4 floors. And he introduces the concept of our super sense and explains how all of these elements come together to make us human. Stay with me. I'll circle back to this later. So how did disability define me? I feel I'm invited to tell my story. I contracted polio, for those who don't know, when I was about 4 or 5 years old. This was before the vaccine, and as some of you are aware, this was the pandemic of the 20s, 30s, 40s and 50s. Much like COVID is now, but much, much worse. In Australia in particular, it was known as the summer flu. Many people died and many more were left paralysed. I was badly paralysed and I was in an iron lung for 9 months so I could breathe, and then I was put in an institution with the Franciscan nuns for another 2 years where I underwent rehabilitation, and physiotherapy. My parents took the attitude that I had to be normal. I had to walk. Oh, where did that come from? Yes. And so I was not allowed a wheelchair. And after missing 4 years of school, my mother took great pride in sending me to the same class as my same age peers. I guess my parents didn't want my disability to define me. It's hard, though, particularly back then, to disengage the thought of Christian doctrine and our understanding of sin. One must have sinned either personally, or the parents did, or somebody in your clan did, that one would end up with a disability. So the well-meaning Christians would want to pray for healing. I tell the story of my brother and I walking down the street when we were accosted by some people who asked if they could pray for my healing. They prayed, and when the healing didn't come, they compensated by offering ice cream. I wasn't keen on the whole notion, but my brother, who was very keen on ice cream, instantly agreed. To them, disability defined me, and if they prayed, God would fix me. Did I need fixing? All my life, well-meaning Christians have wanted to lay hands on me. Clobber biblical passages don't really exist as punishment for a disabled person's sin, and nor for those who have fallen short of God's glory. As we read in John chapter 9:21, Jesus' disciples asked him, "Rabbi, who sinned, this man or his parents, that he was born blind?" Jesus answered him, "Neither, nor his parents sinned, but the work of God should be revealed." This also coincides with the medical model of disability. The medical model frames disability solely in negative terms, and the cure is a positive. So does disability define me? Yes and no. I'll use the metaphor of a few stories to make some points because they are useful for understanding our lives, and they reflect on how we give out our life meaning, form identity, and grow our understanding as to why we are alive. My first instinct as an academic is to rush into defining my terms, but alas, I am retired, so instead I will quote ex-Labor Senator Fatima Payman, who claims, no, not that one. Oh, nothing is after that. No, don't worry. Ex-Labor Senator Fatima Payman, who claims diversity in appearance comes with diversity in thought, values and representation. And Christine says here, diversity with disability also comes with diversity in thoughts, values and representations. So let's explore my independence and my vulnerability, and it may shed light on the personal and relational challenges on the human condition and our shared humanity. Can we just go back to the iron lung picture? Beauty, thank you. As I said earlier, I went to bed one night with a temperature, and I was whisked off to hospital and placed in an iron lung pretty much that night. My brother wasn't informed. He thought I had died, and my body was already gone when he got up in the morning. As polio was contagious, and it was an epidemic, wasn't allowed any visitors. The iron lung compressed and depressed my rib cage in order for me to breathe. So that's it there. If you can imagine a ward at Royal Brisbane, there was all these iron lungs and just heads sticking out. And there was a mirror up here so that people could see what was going on behind them. And also they would put books up there so that people in the lungs could read, but they had to wait until somebody came to turn the pages over for them. If it interests you any, kind of look up the era of poliomyelitis and the stories that Christine can tell you. Anyway, once I was well enough, I could get out of the iron lung for a period of time each day until I progressed and was well enough to be admitted to Xavier Homes with the Franciscan nuns. In all of this, my disability defined me. But there's more. After 2 years of therapy with the nuns, I was allowed home. As I said before, my parents wanted me to be normal. They weren't going to have any walking aids, anything like that, that shows that I have a disability. I was going to be as normal as people are. So once I was stronger, my father built me a swimming pool for me to learn and to use my muscles. My brother didn't think my disability defined me. He didn't see me as a soft touch by any means, nor did he think that he should be kind to his big sister because she'd been so sick. So while I was swimming, he would shoot me with an air rifle to make sure I went faster. I was always interested in learning, but I am so mediocre at so much. As I had no idea what lay ahead of me, I somehow managed to grasp the concept of doing no harm, and that learning to open our hearts requires us to open our lives. I also worked for professors and bosses who, instead of having low expectations of me because I had a disability, would ask, "Are you working smarter or harder? Is there a reason why you can't do this?" As the Benedict nun Joan Christisa says, it is the pinnacle from which we learn that the world is bigger, much broader than ourselves, that there is a truth out there that is different from our own. The voice of God within us is not the only voice of God. And within that wisdom, I have sought in my choices, my relationships, studies, employment, travel, with an openness to new ideas, to new possibilities. Mind you, some people have accused me of not taking things too seriously because I have worked in the local cake shop, the pharmacy, the book trade, the art gallery, the library, the universities, and even the Prime Minister's department. But it's also sharpened my bit-up super sense. Some examples of my compassionate choices include higher education, research and publishing, influencing policymakers, community advocacy, valuing cultural artefacts, ensuring they stay in Australia, and short-term foster care of 2 teenage boys. Gerald May says, in growing psychologically, one moves towards increasing autonomy and independence. In growing spiritually, one increasingly realises how utterly dependent on God and on the grace of God that comes through other people. And I believe that it is through the grace of God that we may have the opportunity to engage our super sense or humanity, if you prefer, in our daily lives choices. I have been blessed with many opportunities to act despite an obvious disability. And the older I have become, I have drawn on the Beatitudes, which are faith expressions of how God wishes us to live harmoniously and holistically with all creation. They offer a vision for life. And so, to quote a final source of Rowan Williams, contemplation is very far from being just one kind of thing that Christians do. It is the key to prayer, liturgy, the art, the ethics, the key to the essence of a renewed humanity that is capable of seeing the world and other subjects in the world with freedom. Freedom from self-orientated, acquisitive habits and the distorted understanding that comes from these. Right now, tonight, and it's me, Margaret, speaking, Christine is being defined by her disability. She's struggling to breathe after contracting influenza A. Coincides with this is her partially paralysed diaphragm. Her life is very limited. We are praying that she will recover and that her breathing becomes more settled quickly and that her life have a larger definition than disability, wheelchairs and breathing machines. So Christine closes by saying, so here I am with you now at MCC regularly. Another opportunity common to our humanity, worshipping and learning daily about Jesus. So thank you all for this most recent opportunity in my life.